Well, we are winding down on Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and we've been telling you for the past couple of weeks that, again, this is staggering. 1 in 3 Utah women will be a victim of domestic violence at some point in her life.
Yeah, very staggering. So that's not even the most concerning statistic, though. Since 2000, at least 42% of adult homicides in Utah were domestic violence related.
And between 2010 and 2013, a firearm was the weapon in 59% of those cases. Every year, approximately 80 Utah children actually witness the murder or attempted murder of their mother. Now, we asked the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition why the numbers are so much higher here in Utah and why it's so likely to become a deadly situation.
So toxic masculinity is where you're using masculine power and authority, masculine privilege to actually hurt someone. Men in Utah have a lot of privilege. The reality for women in Utah is that we have the lowest earnings potential for women per capita in the country. We have the highest birth rate per capita for women in the country. And we have very few resources for women who are in dangerous situations. That, to me, is a recipe for disaster. Those ingredients right there mean that people who are in dangerous relationships probably have a lot of children, right? Don't have a lot of earnings potential, and don't have a lot of places to turn for help. So in a situation like that, where there's toxic masculinity, we put someone at a further disadvantage, right? So the power and control is very out of balance in situations like that, where women don't have a lot of earnings potential, don't have a lot of autonomy, and have a lot of dependence with their children. I think we see people staying in dangerous relationships for a long time because they don't know where to turn. And dangerous situations in Utah, because we have such a high rate of firearms ownership, we tend to see most of our domestic violence homicides perpetrated with a firearm, most frequently by people who shouldn't be able to have a gun. They should be restricted because they've had a previous conviction or assault, something that would restrict them from having that firearm in the first place. So recognizing the risk factors for the worst outcomes of domestic violence can really save lives. There was a bill introduced, a red flag bill, last year. Our coalition and our programs really support it, and it's getting a lot of bipartisan support. To us, it's not a partisan issue. So ERPO, extreme risk protective order bills, we think that it would help us to intervene in about 15 to 20 domestic violence homicides per year in Utah, which are contributing to a significant portion, at least half of our homicides in Utah every year. So this wouldn't be thousands of people that were the subject of having their firearms temporarily restricted. It would be the people who are at the greatest risk of killing themselves and their family members, their loved ones, their intimate partners. It would help mental health professionals like myself have a legal mechanism for intervening when we learn of this risk. We don't have that right now in Utah. So sometimes we see cases that are very, very high risk, but we don't have anything that we can do to help interrupt that violence.
A lot of great information there. So if you or someone you know is a victim of domestic violence, or maybe even the perpetrator, there is help for everyone. Call 1-800-897-LINK-5465. That's the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition. They are prepared to help you get those resources on your own terms, on your own time. You won't be forced to disclose any information if you don't want to. So call that number if you are in need of help.